All right. What lies stored up in the household does not cause a man grief. It is better for things to be at home, for what is outdoors is at risk. It is fine to take from what you have, but it is woe for the spirit to have need of what you do not have. I bid you take notice of this, for if you put down even a little upon a little and do this often, then this too will quickly become a lot. Whoever adds to what is already there wards off fiery famine. Take your fill when the storage jar is just opened or nearly empty. Be thrifty in the middle. Thrift in the less is worthless. Let the payment agreed for a man who is your friend be reliable and smile upon your brother. But add a witness too, for both trust and distrust have destroyed men. Do not let a fancy-assed woman deceive your mind by guilefully cajoling you while she pokes into your granary. Whoever trusts a woman trusts swindlers. Let there be a single born son to nourish the father's household. In this way wealth is increased in the halls, and may he die an old man, leaving behind one son in his turn. And yet Zeus could easily bestow immense wealth upon more people, more hands, more work, and the surplus is bigger. If the spirit in your breast longs for wealth, then act in this way and work at work upon work. When the Atlas born Pleiades rise, start the harvest, the plowing. When they set, they are concealed for 40 nights and days. But when the year has revolved, they appear once more, when the iron is being sharpened. This is the rule for the plains and for those who dwell near the sea and those far from the swelling sea in the valleys and glens, fertile land. Sow naked and plow naked and harvest naked if you want to bring in all of the meter's works in due season, so that each crop may grow for you in its season, lest being in need later you go as a beggar to other people's houses and achieve nothing. Just as now you have come to me, but I shall not give you anything extra nor measure out extra for you. Work, foolish Perseus, at the works which the gods have marked out for human beings, lest some day, sorrowing in your spirit together with your children and your wife, you seek a livelihood among your neighbors, but they pay no attention to you. For 2 times maybe and 3 times you will succeed, but if you brother them again, you will accomplish nothing, but will speak a lot in vain, and rangeland of your words will be useless. I bid you take notice of how to clear your debts and how to ward off famine. A house first of all, a woman and an ox for plowing. The woman one you purchase, not marry one who can follow with the oxen and arrange everything well in the house, lest you ask someone else and he refuse and you suffer want, and the season pass by and the fruit of your work be diminished. Do not postpone until tomorrow and the next day, for the futilely working man does not fill his granary, nor does the postponer. Industry fosters work, and the work postponing man is always wrestling with calamities. When the strength of the sharp sun ceases from its sweaty heat, as mighty Zeus sends the autumn rain, and a mortal skin changes with great relief, for that is when the star Sirius goes during the day only briefly above the heads of death-nurtured human beings and takes a greater share of the night. At that time, wood that is cut with the iron is less bitten by worms, and it leaves fall to the ground, and it ceases putting forth shoots. So at that time be mindful and cut wood, a seasonable work. Cut a mortar 3 foot long and a pedestal 3 cubits long, and an axle 7 feet long, for this way things will fit together very well. If you cut a length 8 foot long, you could cut a mallet head from it too. Cut a 3 span broad quarter wheel for a 10 palm sized cart. There are lots of bent timbers. Search for one on the mountain or through the fields, and if you find one of elm oak, take it into your house as a plow tree, for that wood stands up most strongly for plowing with oxen. Then Athena's servant has drawn it near and attached it to the yoke pole after having fastened it with pegs to the plow stalk. Toil hard to lay up a pair of plows in your house, one of a single piece, and put one and one put together, since it is much better this way. If you broke one, you could set the other one upon your oxen. Yoke poles of laurel or of elm are the least wormy, of oak the plough stock, of holm oak the plough tree. Acquire 2 oxen 9 years old, male, that have reached the measure of puberty, for their strength has not been drained yet away yet. They are best for working. They will not break the plough by contending with one another in the furrow, leaving the work futile right there. Together with these, a strong 40-year-old man should follow with the plough after he has breakfasted on a 4-piece 8-part loaf, someone who puts care into his work and will drive a straight furrow, no longer gaping after his age mates, but keeping his mind on his work. Always gets me on that last one. Another man, not a bit younger than him, is better for scattering the seeds and avoiding overseeding, for a younger man is all aflutter for his age mates. Take notice when you hear the voice of the crane every year calling from above out of the clouds. She brings the sign for plowing and indicates the season of winter rain, and this gnaws the heart of the man without oxen. That is the time to fatten the curving horned oxen indoors, for it is easy to say, give me a pair of oxen and a cart, but it is also easy to refuse, saying, there is already work at hand for my oxen. The man who is wealthy only in his mind says that he will put together his cart. The fool, he does not know this. 100 are the boards of a cart. Take care to lay them up in your house beforehand. When the plowing time first shows itself to mortals, set out for it, both your slaves and yourself, plowing by dry and by wet in the plowing season, hastening very early so that your fields will be filled. Turn the soil over in the spring, land left fallow in the summer will not disappoint you. Sow the fallow land while the field is still brittle. Fallow land is a averter of death, a soother of children. Pray to Zeus of the land and to the hollow Demeter to make Demeter's holy grain ripe and heavy as you begin plowing at the very start, when you have taken the end of the plow tail in your hand and have come down with the goad upon the oxen's backs while they draw the yoke pole by its leather strap. Just a little behind, let another man and a slave holding a mattock make toil for the birds by covering up the seed, for good management is the best for mortal human beings. Bad management is the worst. In this way, the ears of wheat will bend towards the ground in their ripeness. If afterwards the Olympian himself grants them a fine result, you will drive the spider webs away from the storage vessels, and I anticipate that you will rejoice as you draw on the means of life that are indoors. You will arrive at a bright spring in good shape, and will not gape at other people, but some other man will stand in need of you. If you plow the divine earth first, at the winter solstice you will harvest sitting down, covered in dust, grasping only a little with your hand and tying it together in opposite directions, not at all pleased, and you will carry it off in a basket. Few will admire you. But the mind of the ages holding Zeus is different at different times, and it is difficult for mortal men to know it. If you do plow late, this will be a remedy for you. When the cuckoo in the leaves of the oak tree first calls and gives pleasure to mortals on the boundless earth, if at that time Zeus reigns on the third day without ceasing, neither exceeding the hoofprint of an ox nor falling short of it, in this way the late plower will vie with the early plower. Bear everything well in mind. Mark well the bright spring when it comes, and the rain in good season. Pass by the bronze worker's bench and his warm lounge in the wintry season, when the cold holds men back from field work, but an unhesitating man could greatly foster his household, lest a bad, intractable winter catch you up together with poverty, and you rub a swollen foot with a skinny hand. A man who does not work, waiting upon an empty hope, in need of the means of life, says many evil things to his spirit. Hope is not good at providing for a man in need who sits in the lounge and does not have enough of the means of life. Point out to the slaves while it is still midsummer. It will not always be summer. Make huts for yourselves.